The devourer of souls slowly began to criticize, then couldn't help but exclaim, 1, 2, 3, 9 levels of Spirit Palace? The Spirit Palace is divided into 9 levels, each representing a distinct tier of soul power within the immortal realm. What astonished the devourer of souls was that this was the first time someone had fully condensed all 9 levels. As a peerless genius within the soul-devouring domain, even the devourer of souls had only managed to condense 8 levels in the past. The number of levels condensed during one's advancement to the immortal realm directly limits the potential of their future soul power. Despite achieving 8 levels, the devourer of souls could never break through the final step to reach the spirit-wandering realm. Yet here was Xiao, forming a 9-level spirit palace, undeniably proving that his potential far surpassed even that of the devourer of souls. As Xiao finished condensing his 9-level spirit palace, 2 streams of soul power surged into the palace, instantly filling up the first level. The 9 levels of the spirit palace represented the 9 tiers of the immortal realm soul power. The brilliance of Xiao's first level indicated he had not only broken into the immortal realm but had already reached the peak of the early void level. This sight left the devourer of souls in awe. Huff, huff. Shortly after, Xiao collapsed to the ground, panting heavily, clearly drained by the seemingly simple action that had consumed a vast amount of his soul power. Peak of the early void level in the immortal realm. Impressive, quite impressive, the devourer of souls remarked with a smile. Hee hee, Xiao chuckled in response. Now that his soul power had reached the immortal realm, his rank as an alchemist had also naturally progressed to the immortal grade. All that remained were time and the necessary medicinal ingredients. A soul of the immortal realm and the status of an immortal grade alchemist. Either identity alone would attract powerful factions eager to recruit him. All right, you should regulate your breathing. I have some personal matters to attend to, said the devourer of souls. Additionally, the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal's body refining technique and the devouring technique of the battle soul will be much more effective in a suitable place. With that, he glanced toward the deepest layer of ice and fire island. Understood, Xiao nodded, suppressing his joy, and began to gradually restore his Do Qi and soul power. On the 3rd layer of ice and fire island. Gulp, gulp. No, I must see what that person on the 8th level is up to. Only someone with the power of the sacred flame can relieve me of this agony. No matter the price, I am willing to pay it. This inhuman torment is too much to bear, muttered a prisoner on the 3rd layer. Unlike where Xiao had previously been, the 3rd layer was a massive mountain range used to imprison malicious individuals. From the cave at the mountain's peak, the sound of chains echoed, and a stream of black mist slowly rose, swiftly heading towards the space where Xiao resided on the 8th layer. What is this? The prisoner, bound and sealed on the 3rd layer, couldn't leave easily, but at his level, he could send out a wisp of power to scout the 8th layer. This wisp, however, would have to pass through the space of each guardian. As the black mist passed through the space of the 3rd layer's guardian, it was immediately detected. The guardian's domain was an immense sea of flowers, an expanse filled with intoxicating fragrance, with countless buds ready to bloom. Yet beneath their harmless appearance lurked a deadly threat. Earth Ape, save your energy, a gentle voice echoed throughout the guardian's space, followed by a streak of silver light that swiftly wrapped around the black mist. The aura of the black mist weakened dramatically as it was ensnared by the silver light. Golden feathered blue butterfly, don't push your luck, roared the Earth Ape, struggling against the silver light that had sapped its strength. This is my territory. How dare you act so arrogantly here? The voice of the golden feathered blue butterfly rang out melodiously from the sea of flowers, without revealing itself. If I weren't bound by this seal, you would have perished long ago, the Earth Ape's voice echoed through the black mist. Without your battle soul powers, this human form of yours would have been ground down by the seal long ago, the golden feathered blue butterfly replied calmly. In that case, clatter. Where do you think you're going? The golden feathered blue butterfly, still hidden from view, casually struck. In an instant, the black aura was on the verge of dissipating. Didn't calculate that correctly. he still managed to release a trace of his power. It seems the three-eyed ghost pupil on the 8th level really has something wrong. However, I can't tell if the sacred flame aura just now was real or not. A faint, mournful voice drifted out, followed by silence as the golden-feathered blue butterfly fell quiet. The 3rd level returned to stillness. At their level of cultivation, there was little that could move them. All they needed to do was focus on their training, striving to reach the pinnacle of perfection. As the 3rd level quieted down, the 2nd level followed suit. Dark Demon, what do you think you're doing? A massive figure suddenly stood tall in the guardian space of the 2nd level, glaring fiercely at the swirling dark energy in front of him. Azure-eyed phantom unicorn dragon. We've been fighting for thousands of years here. What's the point? I sense someone entering Ice and Fire Island today. The aura on that human feels oddly familiar to me. The malicious voice of the 2nd level's guardian slowly spoke. You were once human, yet you turned to the darkness. Even I, the azure-eyed phantom unicorn dragon, am ashamed of you. If you want to leave my guardian space, defeat me first. The azure-eyed phantom unicorn dragon spoke without wasting words. At this moment, the 2nd level's guardian space was revealed to be a towering mountain, standing high above the clouds. A massive serpent dragon, its scales silver like a kirin, hovered above. It gazed down from its commanding position, eyes sharp and fierce as it stared at the black mist below. The serpent dragon, known as the azure-eyed phantom unicorn dragon, was notorious in the soul beast realm. Its aura radiated a divine green light, and deep in its pupils, a piercing green glow began to shine. I have things to do today. I won't entertain you. The dark demon knew that dispersing his essence was a significant drain on their energy, especially since any fragment of his power couldn't possibly match the strength of the guardian. Explode! The next moment, the dark demon's voice came from within the black mist. Boom! 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 The explosion shook the air, and the azure-eyed phantom unicorn dragon's eyes flickered with disgust. With a powerful flick of its tail, the dragon leapt off the mountain. It wasn't that the dragon was afraid, but the extreme evil energy was simply too unpleasant for it. Heh, this works just fine. The dark demon chuckled as he watched the evil energy disperse and force the azure-eyed phantom unicorn dragon to retreat. However, the dragon did not notice that at the center of the explosion, a faint trace of energy slowly moved towards the outer layers of Ice and Fire Island. At this moment, the malevolent energies on the 2nd and 3rd levels, each with their own purpose, were heading towards the 8th level where Xiao was. The 1st level of Ice and Fire Island, however, was strangely quiet. Almost there. Before long, Xiaoyan's soul power and Do Qi were nearly fully restored. He slowly stood and spoke to the Devourer of Souls. Good. The Devourer of Souls responded with a slow smile. However, Xiao couldn't shake a strange feeling as he heard the eerie laughter from the Devourer of Souls. Someone's coming. Prepare yourself. The Devourer of Souls stared at the entrance to the 8th level, showing no intention of leaving. Someone's coming? As soon as the Devourer of Souls spoke, Xiao sensed 2 terrifying auras rapidly approaching. One of them even made his sacred flame stir with unease, a sensation he had never felt before. The extraterritorial evil clan. There was no doubt in Xiao mind. With his current soul power from the immortal realm, he could distinctly sense that one of these 2 auras belonged to the extraterritorial evil clan. Otherwise, the sacred flame would not react in such a way. Senior, isn't Ice and Fire Island meant to imprison evil beings? Why is there an extraterritorial evil clan here? Xiao asked, puzzled. Ice and Fire Island is indeed a prison for evil beings, but as for why that person carries the aura of the extraterritorial evil clan, perhaps it's because he willingly accepted it, or maybe he was controlled by them, just like how the Blood Demon clan affected you back in the Mystic 3 Heavens, the Devourer of Souls explained. I wonder about the overall strength of the extraterritorial evil clan. It seems they've been silent ever since the last battle in the Great Thousand Worlds, Xiao muttered. Little one, focus on your training, not to mention the extraterritorial evil clan. Even your Xiao clan will need immense power before you can truly understand the truth. As for the extraterritorial evil clan, Their strength far surpasses anything in the great thousand worlds. The next great battle between heaven and earth is approaching. I'm afraid the entire great thousand worlds will once again be plunged into suffering. The devourer of souls shook his head and said, "Russell." At that moment, as the two were talking, two streams of black aura slowly appeared at the entrance to the guardian space of the 8th level, one following the other. How powerful! As the two streams of black aura entered the guardian space of the 8th level, Xiao, forcing himself to endure the overwhelming pressure, slowly spoke. Earth Ape, just in time. Among the black auras, the later one slowly spoke. The black aura unmistakably belonged to the 2nd level's villain, the Dark Demon. Dark Demon, same to you. The other black aura snorted coldly in response. The very air seemed to tremble under the influence of the Dark Demon's presence. Although the difference between the 2nd and 3rd levels was only one tier, the disparity in strength was not small. The Dark Demon had been imprisoned on Ice and Fire Island because he had once been human, only to fall into the hands of the extraterritorial evil clan. Eventually, he was captured by the mighty beings of the ferocious soul domain and locked away here. Still the same as ever. The Dark Demon, too lazy to waste words with the Earth Ape, spoke directly. After all, the Earth Ape had once been human, and his strength was lacking. If not for the protection of the Battle Soul Earth Ape, he would have perished under the seal long ago. "Why are you here?" The Earth Ape naturally showed no fear of the Dark Demon and asked directly. "I must take this one with me." Upon hearing this, the Dark Demon's attention shifted slowly to Xiao. Under the Dark Demon's intense gaze, even Xiao began to break into a cold sweat. It was clear to him that the strength of these two individuals was overwhelming. Take him? On what grounds? The Earth Ape, sensing the threat, exuded a violent aura, clearly displeased with the Dark Demon's words. "I know you have the Battle Soul Earth Ape's protection. Right now, in this state, I am not your match. But don't forget who my master is." The Dark Demon snarled. A mere Dark Demon. You're just a traitor to humanity, a dog of the extraterritorial evil clan. The Earth Ape responded with contempt. "Whether for personal reasons or public duty, I won't allow you to take him today. Earth Ape, you're courting death." The Dark Demon could no longer suppress his anger and roared. Xiao, though infused with the sacred flame, knew that as believers of the extraterritorial evil clan, their goal was to find the sacred flame and bring news of it back to the evil clan. This would allow their great powers to move against the sacred flame and suppress it once and for all, paving the way for the next great battle between heaven and earth. "A waste," the Earth Ape muttered again, his gaze slowly narrowing on the Dark Demon's black aura. Should the Dark Demon show any sign of attacking, he would strike without hesitation. After all, regardless of how it played out, the Dark Demon was just a pawn of the dark evil god. Though the Earth Ape needed the sacred flame's power to break free from his constraints, as a human from the great thousand worlds, he would not stand idly by and let the sacred flame fall into the hands of the extraterritorial evil clan. "I thank you, Senior," Xiao, struggling against the pressure released by the two powerful figures, cupped his hands toward the Earth Ape's black aura. At first, Xiao had been confused, but now, he understood the purpose of the two. "It's too early to thank me," the Earth Ape said softly. "This one is strong. His talent is extraordinary from a young age, and with the evil power granted to him by the dark evil god, even I cannot defeat him." "This is troublesome." Xiao face turned grim. Since the Dark Demon served the dark evil god, he was undoubtedly not a simple opponent. "Only the dark evil god?" Xiao murmured. "Truly, an old rival." The next moment, the usually calm devourer of souls suddenly activated the soul-devouring talisman. Immediately, a mysterious power, capable of devouring countless souls, spread in a special pattern, gradually expanding in all directions. As the devourer of souls did so, the first level of Ice and Fire Island, where the most notorious villains were imprisoned, seemed to come to life. The long-dead souls, previously lifeless, suddenly opened their eyes wide. A powerful wave of soul energy burst forth from the prison, rushing toward the 8th level. Yu Hunzi, what are you doing? Just as the overwhelming soul force broke free from its prison and headed for the 8th level, a loud dragon's roar echoed throughout the guardian space of the 1st level. Master, could it really be your aura? The soul power emanating from the 1st layer of imprisonment let out an enraged roar, instantly shattering the guardian's barrier, and then it surged towards the 8th layer. This madman, to break such a powerful seal. The roar pushed the figure back, and the dragon's cry disappeared, but the shock it left in his heart was undeniable, a feeling that would be hard to erase. What is this? The dark demon, enveloped in a swirling mass of black energy, not only felt the presence of ghostly chi, but also an intensely evil force. The overwhelming soul-devouring power from the soul-devouring talisman instilled a sense of fear in him, a fear that even made the dark demon feel uneasy for the first time in a long while. He knew that he, as a follower of the Dark Lord of Evil, and possessing the power of a 4-star Do Xian, should not be afraid. Yet, in the face of this illusory figure, he couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of death's presence. Not good. Run. In the next moment, the dark demon dared not linger any longer, instantly dissipating into the shadows. He knew that if he didn't escape, that powerful force would quickly be consumed by the soul-devouring talisman's pull. On the 2nd layer of Ice and Fire Island, within the dark space where the dark demon was imprisoned, his soul power gradually returned to his true form. His face darkened, and he couldn't help but mutter, that fluctuation, could it be from the Supreme One? A power that could make even a 4-star Do Xian feel uneasy could only be described as the work of the Supreme One. After all, the only time the Dark Demon had felt such a presence was when he stood before the Dark Lord of Evil. The so-called Supreme Ones were those who stood at the pinnacle of the Great Thousand Worlds. Soul Devourer? The Earth Ape watched as the Dark Demon's black energy dissipated in an instant, its gaze shifting with difficulty toward the illusory figure standing beside Xiao, continuously releasing a mysterious power. From that figure, the Earth Ape could distinctly feel a crushing weight of celestial power. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, the Earth Ape's soul power vanished without a trace. To think it's the Soul Devourer. Isn't he the ruler of the soul-devouring domain? I heard he was already wiped out by the Master of Ferocious Souls. How could he? The Earth Ape in the 3rd layer murmured in disbelief. Your Excellency Yu Hunzi is late to the rescue. Please, do not blame the Master. The 2 dark mists, belonging to the Dark Demon and the Earth Ape, were shattered by the soul-devouring talisman's overwhelming pressure. Then, a brilliant surge of soul power broke through the protective layers of Ice and Fire Island and descended into the 8th layer. Yu Hunzi, I'm glad you're all right, said the Soul Devourer, smiling slowly as he observed the soul power. This is not the place to talk. Master, please follow me. Yu Hunzi, now in the form of soul energy, led the way. Despite still being a mere fragment of soul energy, he, with his knowledge of Ice and Fire Island and the Soul Devourer's immense power, easily bypassed all the Guardians and arrived at the 1st layer of Ice and Fire Island, where Yu Hunzi had been sealed. Senior, what is this? Xiao asked, amazed at how easily they had reached the deepest part of Ice and Fire Island. From now on, call me Master, the Soul Devourer said, as if making a decision. Master, Yu Hunzi, who had been leading the way, felt a shock deep within his heart upon hearing this. Yu Hunzi had followed the Soul Devourer since childhood, and it could be said without hesitation that the Soul Devourer's rise to power as the ruler of the soul-devouring domain was due to his talent and disposition. Yet, the Soul Devourer had always been extremely proud, having only taken in 3 disciples throughout his long life, despite undergoing several reincarnations. All 3 of these disciples had been taken in almost by accident, and never before had the Soul Devourer spoken to anyone in such a manner as he did with Xiao. Yes, Master, Xiao nodded, unaware of the deep shock Yu Hunzi was experiencing. Master, we've arrived. After a short while, the 3 of them reached a brightly lit passage, and soon found themselves standing before a grand palace. Yu Hunzi's form was nothing more than a mass of soul light, and even in the place where he was imprisoned, his true form remained unseen. Naturally, the seal used to imprison a 6-star Docian would not be ordinary. This master of ferocious souls is indeed skilled to use the 6th-grade immortal weapon, earth-stabilizing art, to imprison you. The Soul Devourer's illusory figure floated in midair, his gaze fixed on the vast palace before them, the invisible barrier of confinement surrounding it. His expression darkened in anger. "Master, please don't be angry. I'm fine now. This 6th-grade immortal weapon is enough to trap a 6-star Docian. I was tormented by it for years, but thanks to its effect, my strength has now broken through to the level of 5-star Docian." Yu Hunzi's soul power slowly spoke. "That's excellent," the Soul Devourer replied, feeling a trace of relief in his heart. A 6th-grade immortal weapon, capable of sealing a 6-star Docian? Could it be that Yu Hunzi has already reached the level of a 6-star Docian? At this moment, Xiao Yin felt a wave of dizziness. Based on his earlier assumptions, Xiao Yin had guessed that the Devourer of Souls must at least be a 5-star or even 6-star Docian. However, if a being as powerful as a 6-star Docian was merely a subordinate of the Devourer of Souls, it heightened Xiao Yan's anticipation of the latter's strength. "Master, ever since you disappeared back then, many forces within the soul-devouring domain's upper echelon spread rumors of your demise, vying to carve up the domain's vast territory spanning thousands of continents. At that time, Lord Feng Yanghao happened to be in seclusion, trying to break through his realm. Lord Hongzong, restless by nature, had already ventured to explore the 7 realms before your incident and hasn't returned since. With your disappearance, the 7 great halls, which govern the soul-devouring domain's affairs, fell into chaos. They sought to replace you, but fortunately, Lord Hao stepped in just in time to stabilize the situation. However, the infighting has persisted all these years. All this time, it has been Lord Hao holding things together. Yu Hunzi couldn't help but sigh. Yang Hao is overly obsessed with cultivation, and Hongzong's restless nature led him away for years. Truly, it's been tough on An'er, the Devourer of Souls remarked, his tone filled with guilt. After the Master of Ferocious Souls defeated you, they returned shortly thereafter, seemingly searching for something within the soul-devouring domain. Unable to find it, they launched another attack on us. During that battle, many of our domain's stronghold defenders were captured by the Master of Ferocious Souls. I was among those taken, and only after risking my life to protect Lord Hao was I imprisoned here. Oddly enough, after capturing us, the Master of Ferocious Souls didn't aim to annihilate us, but instead sought information about the soul-devouring talisman and your whereabouts. Yu Hunzi's voice carried restrained fury, his soul brimming with a murderous intent toward the Master of Ferocious Souls. "Heh, you've truly endured all these years. But rest assured, now that I, the Devourer of Souls, have returned, it will mark the end of the ferocious soul domain. What they have done to us, we will repay 10-fold, 100-fold. The Devourer of Souls declared, his suppressed anger spilling into his words. "That's exactly what we've been waiting to hear from you, Master," Yu Hunzi said with a smile. "Once word spreads that you are alive, the entire soul-devouring domain will surely regain its strength. This young man here is a descendant of the Xiao clan. Back when I was ambushed by the Master of Ferocious Souls, I hid within the soul-devouring talisman to recover. By a stroke of fortune, he stumbled upon it. However, I suspect that the Master of Ferocious Souls' attack on us wasn't solely for my soul-devouring talisman," the Devourer of Souls mused. "Master, what is your current state?" Yu Hunzi hesitated before voicing his question. "My soul power has been severely injured, leaving me lacking a portion of my essence," the Devourer of Souls replied with some regret. "Is there anything I can do to help?" Xiao Yin interjected. Though his strength was laughable compared to these two, his expertise in crafting bodies and refining pills might prove useful. "You brat, now you think of helping your master?" the Devourer of Souls jested, though his tone was light-hearted. "Xiao Yin, there's no need for concern. Unlike humans, We Ghost Realm creatures are naturally born as soul forms. Once our strength reaches a certain level, we can naturally cultivate a physical body. For us, revival merely requires the replenishment of our soul power and any lost essence. As for crafting a body, that's a trivial matter, Yu Hunzi explained. Only now did Yu Hunzi scrutinize Xiao Yan carefully. What puzzled him was that, despite Xiao Yan's strength being only mid-1-star Dosian, there was an inexplicable aura about him that even Yu Hunzi couldn't fathom. The Xiao clan's history runs too deep. I can't reveal too much to you, Yu Hunzi remarked, shaking his head. For now, the focus shifted back to the Devourer of Souls, as his situation was the most urgent. The replenishment of soul power merely requires some rare herbs. While they are scarce, with me residing in Xiao Yan's body for the time being, we shouldn't find it too difficult to locate them. However, the portion of my soul essence burned away by the Master of Ferocious Souls using the sacred flame can only be restored with one specific item. The Devourer of Souls declared with a knowing glint in his eyes. Xiao Yan arrived in the Ghost Realm, and his sole purpose was to deal with the Devourer of Souls. Once the matter with the Devourer of Souls was resolved, Xiao Yan would return to 4 continents of the Do-Di continent, continue searching for Sooner, and resolve the agreement he had made with her, as well as the secrets of the Xiao clan. The 7 Resurrection Soul Lamp. The Devourer of Souls murmured softly. What? The 7 Resurrection Soul Lamp? As soon as the words left the Devourer of Souls' mouth, Yu Hunzi's expression instantly darkened. If it were anything else, Yu Hunzi would have many ways to handle it. But when it came to this item, he feared he truly had no solution. The 7 Resurrection Soul Lamp. This is practically the treasure that safeguards the ferocious soul domain, held by the 4 great halls, the forces that control the entire ferocious soul domain under the leadership of the Master of Ferocious Souls. Even the Master of Ferocious Souls would have to seek the approval of the 4 great halls to use it. And as for its effects, it's likely that only the Master of Ferocious Souls truly understands it. But those 4 great halls are the most powerful forces in the ferocious soul domain. And even with my 6-star Do Xian strength, I'm afraid it would be a one-way trip, Yu Hunzi said grimly, emphasizing each word. Having a goal is a good thing. Moreover, this item is crucial for me to recover my peak strength. I came across detailed records of the 7 Resurrection Soul Lamp in an ancient book, the Devourer of Souls explained. Master, let me handle this, Yu Hunzi said after a brief moment of thought. Forget it. I'll take care of this myself. With the 4 great halls being the most powerful forces in the ferocious soul domain, their defenses will be tight. A direct approach won't work. With the Eastern Continent competition coming up, if we win there, we can move on to the 4-continent competition. Winning that would give us the opportunity to enter the 4 great halls, Xiao Yan said with a smile. Is that really possible? Yu Hunzi asked, his gaze uncertain. Trust him. This little guy has already brought me plenty of surprises, the Devourer of Souls responded. Master, this time I won't be going with you. To prevent the higher-ups of the ferocious soul domain from discovering your whereabouts, once you leave Ice and Fire Island, I'll lift the seal, return to the soul-devouring domain, and contact Lord Haonair. After Master Xiao Yan successfully joins the 4 great halls, we can proceed with the plan to seize the 7 Resurrection Soul Lamp. Once we take the 7 Resurrection Soul Lamp and help you recover your strength, it will be time to settle accounts with the ferocious soul domain, Yu Hunzi said slowly, his voice filled with anticipation. However, before we begin, let's help this little guy increase his strength a bit, the Devourer of Souls said with a smile. It seems there's a familiar fluctuation coming from him, Yu Hunzi remarked with a faint smile. Hearing this, Xiao Yan stopped hesitating and took out the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal. The Earth Dragon Blood Crystal? Yu Hunzi gasped in surprise. He was well aware of its value, but since the Ghost Realm was filled with chaotic auras, and most of its inhabitants were soul-based, it was generally not suitable for using the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal for body tempering. There should be a place on Ice and Fire Island where the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal can be used effectively, the Devourer of Souls suggested. Master, there is, Yu Hunzi replied slowly. Take him there. After bringing him to the blood pool, we'll talk. I need to discuss some things with you, The Devourer of Souls smiled. "Thank you, Master." Xiao Yin, upon hearing this, bowed deeply in gratitude. Xiao Yin knew without a doubt that after tempering his body with the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal, he would begin training the 9 transformations of the Dragon God. If the Devourer of Souls was around, it would be hard to keep this secret. Though Xiao Yin didn't believe the Devourer of Souls would reveal it, this gesture of helping him avoid suspicion was something he was deeply grateful for. After all, on one hand, he had his Shirshu, uncle disciple, teaching him the Dragon Clan's sacred treasures, and on the other, he had the Devourer of Souls protecting him. This arrangement ensured that any misunderstandings would be avoided, especially with the Dragon Clan's old-timers, who might otherwise make an issue out of such matters. "All right, hurry up. I still have some matters to discuss with you, Hunzi, about the soul-devouring domain," the Devourer of Souls said with a smile. Yu Hunzi nodded slowly. His soul power enveloped Xiao Yin, and in a flash, they were on their way to the outer layers of Ice and Fire Island. 5th layer of Ice and Fire Island. This is... Even the slightest trace of Yu Hunzi's soul power easily avoided the detection of the other guardians, allowing them to reach the 5th layer undisturbed. Upon arriving, Xiao Yin was stunned to see a massive water pool in front of him. The pool was oval-shaped, and the seemingly transparent water slowly emanated a faint, mysterious mist, giving it an air of mystery. "I've set up a barrier, and the time it lasts will be enough for you to absorb the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal and handle other matters. Once my tasks with the Master are complete, he will come to you. The Master will reside within your body until you successfully enter the 4 great halls of the ferocious soul domain," Yu Hunzi said. "Rest assured, Senior. I will do my utmost," Xiao Yin responded, nodding slowly. "The Master has always had an eye for talent, so I'm confident in his choice. However, your identity as a member of the Xiao clan should remain hidden for now. The years of my imprisonment have revealed a disturbing closeness between the ferocious soul domain and the human realm's central powers. I can't shake the feeling that this spells trouble for your Xiao clan," Yu Hunzi added, shaking his head. With that, he dissolved into a streak of light and returned to the 1st level of confinement. 9 transformations of the Dragon God, Earth Dragon Blood Crystal. Battle Soul. This time, I must become stronger. Xiao Yan's determination surged after Yu Hunzi's warning. How are things progressing? Just as Yu Hunzi returned to the 1st level, the shadowy figure of the Devourer of Souls slowly emerged above the soul-devouring talisman and questioned him. "Master, Lord Xiao Yin has been settled. With the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal and the Blood Pool, he will undoubtedly undergo a profound transformation soon," Yu Hunzi said with a smile. "Good. Very good," the Devourer of Souls replied, a rare smile appearing on his face. "Master, there is one question that has always puzzled me," Yu Hunzi said cautiously, as if afraid of disrupting the Devourer's contented mood. "Speak," the Devourer of Souls said, his tone curious. Why did the Xiao clan suddenly vanish overnight? Even their subordinate clans disappeared completely, Yu Hunzi asked quietly. The Xiao clan? What kind of existence were they? The Xiao clan had been one of the top 5 most powerful forces in the human realm. With their countless subordinate clans, their power was unfathomable. Yet, despite their unparalleled strength, they mysteriously disappeared the night after the first Heaven-Earth War concluded. Even their many subordinate clans vanished without a trace. Such an occurrence had led many humans to speculate that the Xiao clan betrayed them. Could it be, as some theorized, that their battle against the extraterritorial evil clan was a ruse? That after defeating the enemy, they took their subordinates and defected to the evil clan in one fell swoop? This theory seemed to explain the bizarre disappearance. But if this were true, why would the Xiao clan go to such lengths to battle the evil clan? With their strength, joining forces with the evil clan would have plunged the great Thousand Worlds into unimaginable disaster. Yu Hunzi didn't believe this explanation. The Xiao clan's fierce hatred for the evil clan and their total mobilization of forces during the war suggested otherwise. It made no sense for them to defect. If defection wasn't the answer, why did the Xiao clan vanish overnight? Their strength alone was equivalent to half the ferocious soul domain's might, and their top-tier combat power was unparalleled. Even the ferocious soul domain couldn't compare. During the war, the Xiao clan's fearless resolve and self-sacrifice consistently placed them at the forefront of battle, defeating countless extraterritorial evil clan members. But why, after such heroics, did they disappear? To make matters worse, as soon as the Xiao clan vanished, the human realm's central powers began spreading rumors, further muddying the waters. This left Hunzi deeply perplexed. The central powers of the human realm likely played some role in the Xiao clan's disappearance, though without solid evidence, no one dared voice their suspicions. This mystery has perplexed not just you, but even many of us among the highest echelons, the Devourer of Souls said, shaking his head. The Xiao clan's power was immense. To destroy them in a single night would require the combined might of the 7 realms' central forces. Each realm's center is a coalition of its countless overlords, the Devourer of Souls continued. As for the disappearance of their subordinate clans, I suspect the matter is even more complicated, he added. The Xiao clan, what a tragedy. During the war, their Do Shun nearly perished in the fight against the evil clan's true ruler. They gave everything for the great 1,000 worlds, only to vanish under such mysterious circumstances. Truly unfortunate, Hunzi murmured, his soul power faintly exuding regret. Even though the Xiao clan has fallen, and many suspect their disappearance was orchestrated by certain supreme powers of the 7 realms, their allies in the great 1,000 worlds are more numerous than we imagine. The Xiao clan's hospitality and humility forged bonds few can rival. If Xiaoyan rises to power, the tides could turn dramatically. Though many forces despise the Xiao clan, their deep network of allies might surprise everyone. If Xiaoyan calls upon them, this great 1,000 worlds might witness a spectacle unlike any other. By that time, it will probably be the moment when the secret of the Xiao clan's disappearance is finally uncovered. The Devourer of Souls chuckled. However, although the Xiao clan perished in its entirety, the guardians who protected the clan remained. They seem to know something, Hunzi said with a slow smile. I remember the Xiao clan's guardians were always on the move, with no fixed residence. It seemed like they were avoiding someone's pursuit. The Devourer of Souls said slowly, his eyes flickering with a strange glint. By the way, the Yama of the 10th King hasn't disappeared. They were clearly severely injured and are currently recuperating within Xiaoyan's body. The Devourer of Souls added. What? The Yama of the 10th King? Hunzi couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The Yama of the 10th King was undoubtedly the most exalted power among the guardians of the Xiao clan. The Yama of the 10th King. There were 10 powerful individuals. Even Hunzi couldn't help but remember the terrifying reputation of these 10. During the Great Heavenly War, the Yama of the 10th King had followed the Xiao clan, slaying countless members of the extraterritorial evil clan. Among the Yama of the 10th King, there were those weaker than him, and those whose power surpassed his. But no matter how strong they were, none could compare to the Devourer of Souls, for the Yama of the 10th King were merely guardians of the Xiao clan, while the Devourer of Souls was the supreme ruler of the 3 great domains of the Ghost Realm. The strength of the Yama of the 10th King cannot be underestimated. Even at my peak, facing all 10 of them at once would not guarantee victory, the Devourer of Souls continued. This time, when we go to the master domain of the ferocious soul domain, I will attempt to awaken the Yama of the 10th King. It will be a good opportunity to inquire about the secret behind the Xiao clan's disappearance. Though I'm not very familiar with the Xiao clan, their resolve in dealing with the extraterritorial evil clan and the qualities Xiaoyan has shown so far have given me a great fondness for them, the Devourer of Souls chuckled. As you command, Master, Hunzi replied in a low voice. Let's leave the Xiao clan's matter here for now. Take this soul-devouring talisman and go find an heir. I'm sure she'll understand everything you say once she sees it. Moreover, with the blessing of the soul-devouring talisman, breaking through this seal should come naturally, the Devourer of Souls said, breaking the talisman in his hand and sending it toward Hunzi's soul body. Master, this is yours. Hunzi was startled and quickly cried out. The Devourer of Souls and the soul-devouring talisman. Without the soul-devouring talisman, how could anyone truly call him the Devourer of Souls? Don't worry. With Xiaoyan around, There's no need for me to intervene for now, the Devourer of Souls said once more. As you command, Master, Yu Hunzi responded without hesitation, carefully storing the talisman within his body. Now, we just wait for this little fellow to succeed in breaking through.